Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. I am delighted to be joined back with Sarah here, who is actually, we're from Los Angeles to Mexico City today, which is very exciting, with the Birth of Valerie Venus. But for those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at the clip.
Getting past your prime, eh?
Will you two please behave?
Sarah, I wish I could give you a hug and say thank you for making your film, because that's honestly what I want to do. How are you doing first? You doing okay?
I'm very well, Danny. Thank you. Yes, yeah.
We were just in the green room. I still have tears in my eyes talking about Sarah's film. But for those that haven't seen it, Sarah, tell us a brief synopsis of your film.
Yeah, sure. It's called The Birth of Valerie Venus. It's a comedy drama, and it's set in, I'd call it parochial England. And of course, it's about a vicar's wife who's a pastor's wife for everyone outside of the UK. And she is aging. She's about 55, 60, and she's really, it's a sort of a coming of age, if you like, for her. It's a sort of, she's finding her moment, re-finding herself after a lifetime of sort of being pushed down by many different factors in life. And she's really rediscovering herself. And it's been quite a battle. And I'd say the main thing is she's getting in the way of herself in all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it's a hard watch because, of course, there's all these, you know, wonderful moments that have sort of that, you know, British dark humor, but there's just some moments that you're just captivated in the situation. It's incredible. I love how you mentioned it's a coming of age, because it really actually is, and you really felt it watching her journey through as a character. Where did the inspiration come for you in creating this story? I'm so in love with this story. I just honestly, tell us a little bit what the inspiration came from.
Firstly, thank you. I mean, like any short film, it's a labor of love, and it takes a lot of doing to make it.
Yes.
Really, I mean, I started since I left off with my first short film, The Good Mother. And I'd made something initially in Spanish language, shot in Mexico, and I wanted to go back home to the UK, start working in English language and make something there. And this was like 3 years back or more. So the initial idea was I really wanted to explore femininity, I suppose, and like this idea of there's spoilers alert, but female orgasm, basically. And at that time, there wasn't a lot of stuff on screen, and I really wanted to give it a sort of female gaze, but with some comedy attached and some insights of like reality, really. And you know, I'd always sort of gone, how on earth do women end up in a bathtub, and really, how's that work? You know, and you know, because I think I saw a lot of stuff in movies and I was getting frustrated with it, of like, well, what's the mechanics and the logic of it? You know, for me, it was just too much of a push. So it started there, and I was really interested in sort of like what's stopping her, what's getting in her way. And then the more I got into this, the more I realized like all the references I found were all like sensuality and sexuality for me seems to be owned by the youth.
Yes.
You know? So it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, but when it comes to sex and the love of your body, it's about young, and that is how it's always been portrayed. And getting older myself, I was like, wow, you know, it doesn't just stop and fall off.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we deserve to be like continuing to be sexual and sensual beings, you know, and with so that became, I suppose, like the ageism factor really overtook this and became like my real sort of center point for the piece. And I really wanted to sort of dig into that. And a friend had told me about an interpretation of the Birth of Venus painting. About it was a sort of, there's one translation of it that is, it's about a woman coming into herself and finding herself, and that often happens in your 30s when you've gone through your messy 20s and you're trying to work out your life, and then suddenly you just feel a bit more balanced and together in your 30s. And I thought, well, this is great, I relate to that. But what happens if, like my mum's generation, they met a guy, you know, when they were 18, it was the first guy that came along, and then they had a family, and they never really had the luxury of what we have today. You know, we've had to sort of explore ourselves, and doing that at a later point in life. And that really, and what is that like tension between yourself, like, oh, I can't and I should, but I can't, and you know, and so that really is what I'm saying, is like, there is all those other factors. And I set it within the church because I was looking at really ramping up the stakes, what the pressure was for her. And it really is religion in the UK, you know, it's a different factor to different parts of the world. And I felt like there is a lot of repression in that, in certain aspects, particularly for women. And I really just wanted to go, okay, but above all of that, at the end of the day, we have the answers in ourselves to unlock things, but we just need to understand how to unlock them, which was how the sort of idea of the hand came about. So,
it's brilliant idea, like really brilliant, you know. I mean, I'm so glad you made it. I mean, having grown up in that sort of small village Christian church environment and everything that comes with it, and you know, and kind of how the vicar's wife's role and what that even is, because it is a certain kind of role in British society, culture, in these Christian small towns and villages. And I felt so much for her, and you know, and also many people that are in kind of these relationships like this, where, you know, respectfully, like the way he was speaking about her was just so grossly disgusting. And the worst thing is that only really it feels in recent times that we even said that what was being said is not nice and horrible, and the way she's being treated is bad, which is even worse. And I just thought the way you orchestrated what she was experiencing, going through. I want to talk a little bit about Valerie, because I was mesmerized in every intricate thing that she was doing. Tell us a little bit about her and how you worked with her in the project, because she was immense.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like, hats off. This film is nothing without the absolute immense talent of Jane Gurnier, who plays Valerie. And she's incredible. So how did I even start that? I mean, I know that, you know, one of my main missions is, like, every time I'm taking on something new to direct, is that, okay, I really want to push myself, and, you know, and can I do it, and does it feel unachievable? And then if it does, great, let's do it and break it down and make it work. So, you know, and for anybody watching this, basically Valerie is her own character, and then her hand is its own character. And so she had to be able to separate herself and her performance, and then play a second character with her hand. And so, yes, there is framing with camera to allow that to happen, the magic of that. But I mean, it's incredible that Jane she could realize that and make that happen herself with her talent. I mean,
she's brilliant. Like, I was mesmerized how that was even working. I was like, it was unbelievable. It was separate from her, you know?
Yeah. Well, Jane, I mean, when I knew what I wanted, so I broke all my shots down. I do a lot of prep, and before I even got to casting, I broke all my shots down and was like, okay, I understand how this needs to work. I need to find the talent to be able to work with, you know, to work in that space. And if I can't, then I'm going to have to rethink this. So, so I was working with a casting agent called Irene Cotton, who, you know, I purposefully looked. My crew spanned, you know, all sectors, and I'd say all ages as well. And that for me was really important, that it wasn't just young crew. You know, we all came from different age, well, generations, if you like. So we all brought in different thoughts and ideas. And so Irene had worked with Jane over the years, and Paul Hunter as well, who plays Norman, her husband.
Yeah, so good. Yeah.
And when I spoke to Irene, I just said, look, I really am looking for people who, yes, can do improv, but also are just very comfortable. You know, they need to be able to work with body work and write things out. Because I like what I learned from writing in Spanish is that just being quite economical with words and really working hard on the visual of the of what the actor can bring and tell the story. So when I met Jane, one thing she told me is she actually worked for 10 years acting without dialogue, just through body work.
Oh, wow.
On the stage and different things. And so that had been her beginning. And you know, now she's very, you know, she does a lot of like dance classes. She's quite ambidextrous. She plays the ukulele, you know, so she was very active with her body and hands.
Yeah.
And she'd worked with Paul, ironically, over the years. They went to college together 30 years ago. So
that's so fantastic.
Yeah, and she'd worked with Paul on various things, and I looked at a lot of different people, and then I was like, actually, they have that chemistry for being together for so long. They're like their old shoes together, you know, that are comfortable.
They just, I mean, it really do. I love that analogy of old shoes. It's great. I mean, listen, I mean, Sarah, like there's certain films where I'm just lost. I have so many questions about the story. I'm lost in the story that, you know, that's all I can think about. But I want to go as far as saying something. I think there's obviously the journey and the comedy and the, you know, and also the hurt and all the discovery that she's going on, you know, with this thing that's happened to her. But you also, and I don't want to give it too much away, you also gave us one of the best, like in the scene, as we can call it, was probably one of the most incredible cinematic experiences that I've ever seen, in the sense of I was so happy for her to feel herself as a human being and her own body and appreciate herself. And I was there, I watched it myself, and I watched it with my husband, and we both literally couldn't breathe because we were just so moved with the music and the way it flowed and everything, and just her finally just being able to be free in herself. It was powerful. Like, I just want to let you know, it was magical and powerful and beautiful, and it was just, I was just so happy. And I want everybody to see it. I don't care if you're watching it with your family or uncomfortable. It's beautiful and it's amazing. I love it. That's all I've got to say. Like the way you created that whole scene, I just want to understand a little bit about your journey, because it was just magnificent. It was like moving artwork. It was gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. I deeply mean thank you, because yeah, I mean, it just was something really personal that I wanted to create. All the crew and the team and my producers, BFI Network, Madra Falca, everyone was really behind me all the way. And it was just wonderful to create it. It's taken time, you know, to sort of get budget together and things, but I just kept believing that I need to do it, and I need to do it this way, and I'm gonna take the time on the edit, and you know, and it's very polished, and I just felt like I owed it to myself and my team, and you know, and the energy we all put into it, and to Jane, you know. Like,
but it was I think the most, I mean, going back to sort of what we talked about sensuality and sexuality, and you know, the fact that it's always geared to a younger group. I mean, you just took the beauty of just a person and appreciating themselves, and you know, being free from all the horrible stigmas that maybe the partner's given them or anything else. It was just like, so I just wanted to see, I think it just opened up a world and a light of where we really showcase how we've been doing things all wrong, how we present things, how we do things. And I just love that you just created this beauty, this beauty in a character that, I just said, I feel like she's a real person. I wanted to come and live with us, and we'll take care of her and get away from her husband and put her on her feet. Like, I literally was in love with her. Like, she's amazing. And I'm so glad you gifted us with this character and, really looked upon the stigmas of what was going on and how important that is as well. I wanted more. Are we having more of Valerie? Is there a feature? Like, what's next for you, Sarah?
Yeah, well, Valerie is very much, she's been like living her festival moment.
Yes.
She was BAFTA longlisted this year, which was amazing.
Yes.
I was thrilled about that. She's on hold right now. I am currently working, at the same time I was working on a feature in development through BFI.
Yes.
And with the same producers, Serena Armitage and Pietro Greppi. So it was a great experience to be working together on this and shooting while starting to develop feature scripts. So I'm in a stage of development now with BFI on that. And that is a feature film period drama comedy set in the Yorkshire Dales in 1800. And it is a tale of two sisters. It's based on my ancestors, working class ancestors. And it's, I suppose in that way, it's sort of like the inspiration comes from myself, of like my family and the humor and everything I've grown up with. And I call it like an anti-Jane Austen. So I really, in the same approach as Valerie, wanted to sort of repaint what I saw like the period of 1800 actually really feels like it should be, or is like, or class girls who two old maids, and they're like two sisters nearing 30, and there's no chance of them getting married, or is there? But I really was interested in these women because I was like, they're like the survival experts of their time. Like, you had these kind of very beautiful, like Jane Austen upper class characters who, like, I suppose like men, the world of men at that time created these fragile dolls that couldn't really, they couldn't be independent. But then you had the working class women who were very independent because they had to be. They could live in hedgerows, they could fend, in difficult means, but they could fend for themselves. And so in that, it's the same approach as Valerie, in the fact that it's kind of feminist fairy tale. It really is going on that same journey.
I love it. I love that you're set in the 1800s. I love it it's in the Yorkshire Dales. I love it that you're, really empowering sort of the working class, hard working class, independent women of that time in that part of, England. I think I'm already there. Like I need to watch it now. Like, I'm sorry, I'm impatient with you, Sarah, because you put out such great content. Listen, you gave us a gift. You gave us a gift with the Birth of Valerie Venus. You really did. And I'm so glad that you created this for us. And I just, I think it really is a game changer, and also an eye opener for some. So really appreciate you very, very much. And I want to talk to you for much longer. I really do, but oh goodness. And so you're in Mexico City right now, aren't you? So you're working between both places. So yeah, well, listen, keep making movies for us, and best wishes with the rest of Valerie, but obviously everything beyond as well. So we really appreciate you, Sarah.
Thank you, Danny, and thank you, New Filmmakers LA, and everybody who supports it, for just giving people like myself a platform to screen work and talk to you, and for you to discover me. So
yes, well, can't wait to see you in person again soon, Sarah. So good to see you.
Thank you. Take care.